Are you planning on buying a 26-inch Elite Outlaw BMX bike and want to know how to build it up? Well, I'm going to tell you what you got to do to get it from this box into a rideable bicycle. I'm going to show you all the tools you need, all the things you're going to run into, and how to problem solve and get everything together and make this bike ready to hit the trails, the street, or the skate park. So yeah, let's get to it. Let's show you everything that you need. So first off, you're going to need a few tools. Plus or minus these, you might need some more, but generally these are the tools you'll need, and then if you need any more, I'll show you. So you definitely need hex head or Allen wrench set. You might need a multi-tool which has Allen heads in it. You're also going to need a pedal wrench. You're going to need a 17 socket and extension, possibly, if you're going to put pegs on. You might need a screwdriver. You're definitely going to need wire cutters. You're definitely going to need a razor blade, a utility knife, or an X-Acto blade. You're going to definitely need a pump of some sort, whether it's an air compressor or a floor pump. You're going to also going to need an adjustable wrench. So yeah, let's get to it. First off, it comes in this box. These bikes are about 90% built, so they should be pretty easy for you to build up. And there's a couple little tricks and stuff like that that can help you with on building these up. So first off is going to be this box. This box has tape. Some of them don't have tape, so I'm just going to score it around on the edge, and then now it's cut it. Next, they're going to have staples. Check out these staples. Some people have troubles breaking these off. What I like to do is put your fingers right next to them, and it should pull it off without tearing up the box, ripping it, making a big old mess, making your mom yell because you're building your bike in your living room. So yeah, this is how your bike's gonna show up. This is Elite Outlaw in the white splatter. Let me see if I can show you right here. Outlaw in the white splatter. This is what it looks like inside. So like you've seen just right now, you're gonna get this whole bike in like so, but we're gonna start off with the actual seat post. Put it against it right there. You're also gonna need a trash can. So first off, we're gonna take off the seat covers and everything. And now we're gonna put this on the ground. Let's put this over here. Now, if you don't have a stand, you could always build it on the floor, or whatever you want to do. Pull it straight up. If you pull it at an angle, it's going to get stuck, get bounded up in there. And whatever. So make sure you take out all your little parts and stuff like that. This thing takes up a lot of space. The number one thing our employees do that is wrong is that they leave these boxes built up. If you break it down, you can save a lot of space. Boom. Now it's out of our way. All right, so now you got your bike like this. This is why you needed wire cutters. You're gonna go around and cut all the wire zip ties, actually not wires, they're zip ties. Cut them all off, throw them right into the trash. This one on this one. Set this one aside. Flip this over so you can see. Nice. So that one, So you got your wheels here, you got your handlebars there. This gets a little tricky because you have handlebars here, you got a bunch of stuff going on, you don't know what goes where or what. So we're gonna help you with that. So we set in this trash can, you could set in there in the box. And then a little tight to get in there. We're not gonna, it's kind of hard to get to it, so I'm gonna try to bop it a little bit. Turn this bad boy down. So you could hook the handlebars on the stem. And then when you open this up, down. All right, so got our wheels. Got some more packaging on these wheels. All right, so we're gonna start pulling the packaging off the front of this. Cut this box off. This box is gonna have the pedals and a bunch of other small parts if you need any. Taking off the pads off the frame. That bike looks pretty cool, huh? All right, so if you're trying to figure out how to get this foam off, if this is difficult for you to rip off, it's a little tough to get this stuff off. What I like to do is instead of cutting it right down the middle where the line is, I like to go on the side of it just a little bit. So if I go down like I just did, I'm not hitting the actual part. I'm cutting into the foam, and it's not actually scratching the actual part. So I'll go around. I'll just hit every single one. Boom. Boom. Bop. Bam. Easy. All right, so this thing's off. We got this thing almost ready to go on here. We got the stem right here. I'm gonna pull these bolts out. Loosen these bottom ones. Bottom ones are completely loose. Loosen the top ones. Boom, done. Set your cap down. On these bars, you can hold it like so. See these knurling, this little groove in here? This is designed for grip and texture, so that it holds onto the stem. Also, it is in the center of the handlebars, so if you want to put it evenly on both sides, that will allow you to set your bars up exactly in the middle and not to one side, and keep them straight. All right, so we're gonna hand thread some of these in here. Where'd that white orange go? This one works way better. So tighten the bottom one up. Don't go too much. Tighten the top one up. It's a habit I have. I don't hold on to the tools very tight, so that if they break free, I don't bust my knuckle. I don't really think about it, but just kind of something I automatically do now from over the years. All right, so now that you got your bars straight with your forks, you're tightening up the stem. Look at the cap. The cap has gaps right here. You want to keep them pretty even. So we're going to tighten up the bottom, tighten up the top. Same thing with this one. I'm gonna go kind of in a cross pattern. And if these gaps aren't even, the bolts might feel tight, but they're not actually gripping the handlebar, and that might cause your handlebars to move forward or backwards. Next is 5mm bolt right here. Loosen it up. You want to angle the lever about a 45, not flat, not down, but about 45, so right in the middle of both of those. That'll get us set up. As far as the forks, let's put this front wheel on first. All right, so you got to back these out. There's these little hook washers right here. There's holes on the fork where these will drop into. On the tire, it kind of makes an arrow pointed forward. You always want it forward on your bike. Since you're looking at the screen, it's going to be pointing towards you. So we'll come up in here. Put these washers on there. So I'm gonna use a ratchet and extension. You could use an adjustable wrench if you don't have that. Pull the front wheel up so that it's gonna be really close to being straight into the fork. There you go. Okay, so check this out. I accidentally put these bars on and I didn't run it through the frame. You don't want the cable on the right side, you want it on the left side, but I'll show you a quick trick to get that on the correct side. Line these up so the cable can go through. There's a line underneath here as well. The cable can slip out. On the back side of this lever, there's a little hole with a slit, and you can pull that out. Now, you can take your cable, run it on the right, opposite side of the frame, on the correct side. Put the cable back in there, run it through that line, twist this down, put the cable back in there, and now your cable is routed correctly. All right, so got the front end done. We do kind of have to align this, but I'm gonna wait till we put the bike on the ground. It seems like it's a lot easier and just makes a little bit more sense. The stem's kind of tight and it's pretty close, so we can leave it like that. Cut off all this foam. Cut the zip tie for this chain. All right, so we got this. I think this might be one of the hardest things for our customers to do, is to put the chain on, or to kind of get the wheel on and the chain correctly. The easiest way I like to do is kind of put it over the sprocket like it's gonna ride it, and then put the chain hanging off the back of the dropout up and over, so that it could fall in the gear, go around the dropout, and then sit on the cog. So we got the axle nuts loose. So got a pretty good gap on both sides. Now the tire gets kind of jammed on the brakes right here. So what you can do is you can just kind of push it in there. Once it drops in, you're good. Grab this chain right here. Now you can put it right on the back side of that gear. You can push your wheel all the way into the frame. Now when you come to the front, always put the chain and the sprocket on in the up position, so when you crank down, the bolt's not holding the chain and blocking it. Now you can put the chain all the way over. Now it allows your wheel to go back. All right, so now what you can do is you can push it back with your fingers, and then what you want to do is slowly tighten one. So now we're gonna run in the elusive wheel rocking and turning and doesn't want to stay in place. So I'm gonna teach you some tricks how to do that. See how the chain's loose? I tried to tighten it up, but the wheel walked and it made the chain looser. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the wheel over way more than it needs to. Don't worry about trying to line it up straight, because when this wheel kicks over, it's gonna pull the chain tension for you, and you won't even have to work much for it. Man, no, it's not even doing that. See, now we're gonna push it over and then tighten this side down. All right, so notice it's still really loose. I unfortunately gonna have to loosen up this side. And now we're gonna go even more. Still super, super loose. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen this thing up. Damn, that thing is not even near close enough. It's gonna be a real headache. Alright, so we got the chain pretty tight. Loosen up this side. It's still moving. Sweet, chain's tight. Wheels in the center. Nice. All right, now brake pads. See how these brake pads are not in the right spot? We're gonna actually move them and rotate them. Easiest way to do it is to loosen them up completely. What happens a lot is these washers, they get stuck and they keep going back into the same spot. So you gotta actually hit them around, spin them, help them reset, because once they make that groove, they just keep going back in the same spot. So if you've cranked down on your brake pads, be aware that you might have caused some some denting issues on the actual pieces and causing the brake pad to keep going back into the same spot. So reset them, move those washers around so they line up differently, and then you can reset them, lock them down, and you should be good. These don't need to be cranked down crazy tight. They're just brake pads. Now that you got the brake pads on, we're gonna adjust the actual cable. So first thing you want to do is make sure all the cables are in the slots where they need to go, as well through the frame here, and then up at the front of the lever. Make sure that the cable is inside of here. So we're gonna go back to the back, make sure that it's in there. This little tube type thing slides inside of here, and this little holder locks in and it holds it all, and then this little grommet goes over to kind of keep it nice. Underneath here we have a 5mm bolt that we're going to loosen up, and then here we can pull out most of the slack. What you want to do is pull it all the way inward, take out as much slack as you can, and then you're going to back it out just a hair. It's almost lunchtime. Or bathroom time.
Lunchtime.
All right, so tighten that thing down pretty good. All right, the reason why I didn't back it out that much is because this cable will stretch, and you will be able to get the brakes to work a little bit better. Notice how they're rubbing. Okay, that's totally fine. See how the lever is? How it barely pulls. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the lever pretty good. As long as you have the rear bolts tight, pretty tight, it's gonna allow this cable to stretch, and you're gonna actually pre-stretch it and stretch it out. So it was rubbing before, and now look at it. It's barely rubbing here and there. So we're running into another problem. We can grab another tool. Maddie, where'd those spoke wrenches go? There's one on the table. You can see it.
Oh yeah, it was a.
Where'd you put it? You don't know.
Yeah, I hung it up.
There's one.
Yeah, there's one.
All right, so you're gonna need a spoke wrench like so. The brakes are rubbing a little bit because the wheel's not perfectly straight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna straighten the wheel out a little bit by tensioning these spokes. So if you're looking for the top, tighten it down. They do go normal threads, so that's what you gotta consider. Sweet, so it's pretty straight. So when you buy a bicycle from your local bike shop, when they build up the bike, if they're just like us, you're gonna get the bike, and we are gonna true up the wheels slightly and get the wheel straight for you so that your brakes are working. Now that you got your wheels straight, now it's time to put the pedals on and do some of the finishing touches. So we're gonna go to the box. This is where you had a bunch of stuff, reflectors, pegs, stuff like that. So we're not sure if he wants pegs, but I'm not going to put those on. I'll show you guys how to put those on in a sec. But start with the pedals. So pedals, left side with the lines are always on the left side pedals, and no lines on the right side pedals. And the right side pedals are regular thread, so righty tighty, lefty loosey, or clockwise to tighten it, counterclockwise to loosen it, and then left side is always opposite thread. But first, when you put a little bit of grease on it, just hit the little edge. Got a little bit of grease on it. Boom. So now, going on the right side. So the pedals threading in. Usually they're pretty tight where you could thread them in most of the way without a tool. And then we're gonna go to the other side. And I always spin the top of the pedal towards the front. That's how I know which way they go. See, where'd my pedal wrench? There it is. All right, so you're gonna need a pedal wrench, which is a thin wrench. You could take a 15mm open end wrench like so and grind it super thin. If you don't have one of these, just make sure it's not your dad's and make sure it's yours. Or you can buy an Odyssey multi-tool, and it has one on there. So yeah, just slip this out of here. Tighten it down. Tighten it down, and then you're all set. All right, so to install the pegs, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to loosen the axle nut on the front or the back. But these ones are designed for the back. They got two 14mm holes on here, so they'll go for the back. The peg is just a washer. So you're going to remove this nut here, place this peg / washer on there, and then you're going to put the axle nut in here, and then you're going to tighten up your wheel. If you have trouble getting the axle nut on the correct way, put the axle nut inside of here, drop this peg on top, hold them together, and then you could slide it onto the axle and then thread it on. And then once they're tightened down, that'll hold the peg tight and yeah, get you rolling. So that's how you put the pegs on. We got a couple other things. How much air is in that thing? So next, we might even be able to air these up because I forgot to air up the air compressor, and it's too loud to put in the video. So these tires are 35 to 65 psi. We're gonna put some air in there. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get all the complete amount of air, but we're gonna put in as much as we can. Camera's angle's getting a little drunk. So we can turn you to the side, making you turn your neck. You're breaking your neck.
I know.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna go that up to at least 35, 40 if we can. So it said 65. You're gonna go up to 40. And then after we pump up these tires, we got one more thing to do before we get this. This bike is completely done and ready. All right, got it on there. Boom. Done. All right, sweet. All right, so there's two things that we can do. There it is. Okay, so one, the seat post was pretty hard to get in here, right? See how it's scratching up the post? I don't know what's inside there, but what I like to do is if you barely put the seat post in there, you can walk it around. See how it slides in there pretty easy now? That'll help you out. I didn't do that earlier because it was kind of in a awkward position, so I knew I wasn't able to do that. So we're gonna, he's probably gonna lower it lower than this, but we're gonna put it right there just for the sake of it. All right, so now here's the final thing that you got to do is the handlebars are not straight with the front wheel. So the way you do that is you loosen up these bolts on the side. Then on the other side. And then now all you got to do is turn it a little bit. Sometimes this gets loose. This one's just a compression bolt, so it keeps everything sucked up, but it's not tightening and locking it down. So this one, you just want to barely tighten up, just to make sure that nothing's spreading apart, and you don't want to torque it down because you'll start pulling up the start cap and damaging this. It's just to pull the stuff together, and then these side bolts is what holds everything together. The fact that thing's so not important that you can take this off and you could have the pinch bolts on there and a hole right here, and your stem is not going to slide off or fall off because you got these two bolts clamped down on the side. So yeah, bars look straight, bike looks pretty clean. Might want to wipe it down. But everything's tight. Now your bike went from a box to a bike. You're all set. And this is the explain and review of building up a 26-inch Elite Outlaw BMX bike. If you want to know more about this bike, make sure to subscribe to our channel, turn on your notification bells, and watch our explain and review on the Elite Outlaw BMX bike.